Oh, yeah.
Very good work.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to call the August 15th meeting of the Sports Authority to order. I'd like to thank the Tennessee Titans and Nissan Stadium for hosting us today. According to the pursuant to Tennessee Open Meetings Act, no one has reached out for public comment today on any of the action items, so we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is consideration of the approval of the minutes from the July 18th, 2024 meeting. You should have the minutes before you.
Motion for approval.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the minutes as presented. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay, and the minutes are adopted. Next, we will hear from our Executive Director, Fognuson, to give her report. Monica.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. You have the agenda before you. The Finance Committee was hard at work this morning and has a number of recommendations that they'll be bringing to you for consideration. So I'm not going to go through those, and you can look at them on your agenda. We also are going to spend some time preparing for next month's meeting, where the authority is going to be asked to consider and approve a number of documents related to the new stadium, including the GMP supplement. We've been working towards this goal since day one. And so Metro Legal, our bond counsel, Jeff Oldham, and Heather Hill, our construction representative, will be here to just kind of set the stage and make sure that you all are ready for next month, which is going to be a very important meeting. I want to take a second to thank one of our attorneys, Lexi Ward, who is not leaving Metro, but is leaving the Sports Authority to represent some other, the shock and all, some agencies. And, we've given her a lot to do, and she has really just been such an asset with Josh to our department. And we appreciate all of the work that you've done. And, you can run, but you can't hide. We know we're behind you moving forward. And then also want to welcome Sam Keene, who will be replacing Lexi, and so he will become a familiar face. And then finally, I want to recognize two people, although I think maybe only one is here right now, who you also are going to get to know well over the coming years. Mayor O'Connell has appointed former Council Member Russ Pooley to the authority, and also Fisk University women's basketball coach Victoria Crawford. And so we are looking forward to them joining us. They were interviewed by the Rules and Confirmations Committee on August the 6th, and will be considered by the full council on Tuesday. He's sitting here because he has not been confirmed yet, but we appreciate you being here, and he just wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to hear all that's being discussed today and leading up to the meeting in September. So, thank you. Are there any questions? Oh. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Monica. And welcome, Russ and Victoria in her absence. We'll look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Yes. Lexi, we're going to miss you. Thank you for everything you've done. And we look forward to working with your new guy, our replacement, Sam. Thank you, Sam. We'll look forward. With that, next on the agenda, we'll hear from Finance Chair Dan Hogan with the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. The Finance Committee met this morning, and we approved the minutes from the June 20th meeting first, and then heard from Kyle Clayton with the Predators, who presented the Bridgestone Arena camp, as well as an update on the water main break, which is almost complete, the repairs, so that's fantastic. We also had quite a lot to do. We considered 4 resolutions. The first resolution authorizes reimbursement of funds to Powers Management for hosting the 2024 SEC tournament. This is a not-to-exceed agreement that covers labor, decor, hospitality, and we got an overview of that. And then the Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of that resolution, and I would move for adoption.
Okay, thank you. We have a committee recommendation and a motion from the chair. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay, and the motion passes. Please continue.
Yes, we also considered a second resolution authorizing the engagement of CPS to assist the Sports Authority in reviewing eligible capital project reimbursement requests for the current Nissan Stadium. The amended stadium lease authorizes Stadco to requisition the Sports Authority for up to $42 million to be used towards capital expenditures at the current stadium necessary to keep the stadium in compliance with player and patron safety. So the Finance Committee also recommends approval of that resolution, and I would similarly move for adoption.
Great, okay. So we have another recommendation and a motion on the resolution authorizing CPS to assist us in the review of Titans CapEx reimbursement requests. Is there a second? Second. Questions or discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, and in addition, we also considered a resolution approving a second amendment to the existing contract with Bell Construction for landscaping infrastructure services related to the MLS Stadium area. This amendment will push the expiration date out a bit to 12/31 of 2027 and comes to the board at the request of the fairgrounds. The Fair Board will continue to use the Sports Authority's contract with Bell, paying for services with Fair Board funds. The final resolution we considered is also related to the fairgrounds, and this second resolution approves the memorandum of understanding with the fairgrounds and the Sports Authority for the landscaping services that we just discussed. This memorializes the agreement to extend the Sports Authority's agreement with Bell, and this MOU is contingent upon approval of the Metro Council. After discussion, the Finance Committee recommended approval of both the resolution.
Motion for approval.
Okay. Thank you. But given that we have two motions, I think that we need to make, I think it would be best if we vote on these separately. So I'm going to back us up, and if we can entertain a motion for resolution approving a second amendment to the construction management agreement with Bell and Associates first.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay, and that motion passes. The second piece is a motion on a resolution approving an MOU between the Sports Authority and the Fair Board. I'll entertain a motion. There's a motion to made on that. Now we need a second. Okay. Any discussion, comments, questions?
Well, I'm glad that the Fair Board has unanimously voted on it already. That was a great vote of confidence.
Awesome. Any other comments or questions?
I think this one's for the MOU that just clarifies the responsibilities of the parties.
Yes.
It is the MOU between the Sports Authority and the Fair Board. Fair Board Director Laura Womack is also here.
And we went through this pretty thoroughly, but if anyone would like to hear from the Fair Board before making this vote, I'm happy to invite the chair up. If not, motion and a second is on the table. All those who are in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. And that motion carries. That completes your report.
It
Thank you
does,
so much,
Madam Chair.
Director.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I will say this periodically, so much of the work of this authority is done in our Finance Committee meetings. And so we appreciate all of our partners who show up and who, we dig pretty deep in those meetings. We had a meeting this morning. And so I will encourage any of our directors, if you have the availability to make those meetings. That's where we get a lot of our information. So thanks to everyone. Next item on the agenda, Jeff Oldham, Metro's Bond Counsel with Bassberry and Sims, will walk us through what we need to be aware of as we near the funding release date for the stadium project. I think Heather Hill, also our construction representative, is here. In the event she needs to address questions that we may have. Thanks to both of you for being here.
Good morning.
Morning, Jeff.
See you again. Thanks for having us. I'm going to answer the easy question. Is that better? Yeah. Oh, that is better. So thanks again. So we're going to just very briefly walk through. We want to prepare you for next month. Next month's a big month. In the grand scheme of things, this is one of the last few approvals of sort of the stadium design. A lot's going to happen. We just don't want you to be surprised. So we thought we'd spend a little bit of time today walking you through where you've been and what's going on, so you know what to expect for next month. So if we could take the slide forward one. So here's where you've been. Back in last summer, this time last summer, the Sports Authority in the state of Tennessee issued bonds to finance the stadium project. At the same time, this body authorized a development and funding agreement with the Titans to build the new stadium. That funding and development agreement, y'all heard this probably till you're sick of it. The proceeds from the Sports Authority and the stadium bonds have basically been parked in escrow, and they're not released and available to fund the project until the Titans show up with a sort of a comprehensive project plan, a budget, and proof of their capacity to fund their portion of it. And so that's what we're leading up to. And that whole process gets the name of the funding release date. And that funding release date needs to happen by October 1, 2024, or the whole thing unwinds. So this is no surprise to anybody who's been working on it. Everybody's been working on both sides feverishly. I'm thinking about her and thinking about the Titans folks to tee this up so that it's very straightforward next month. That's what we're working toward. So let's go to the next slide. So there's your background. So since August of 23, you have approved an architect of record, you've approved a contractor, you've approved 50% design drawings, and then sort of in the last few months, the team has, I think, completed the 100% design drawings, completed the 50% construction drawings, and is working on finalizing the GMP, the max price, that's amendment that will be attached to the construction contract, and to finalize the project budget. And I think it's fair to say, you chime in here, I mean, everything that they can provide to help us analyze, see that as quickly as we can see it, you've been getting. And so that's what's been happening. And so by the end of this month, the team's scheduled to deliver that sort of final GMP amendment and the budget. And so then there'll be in early September, and maybe we go to the next slide, in early September, well, I don't have a slide for this, there's going to be more feverish work to review that last bit of stuff so that Heather and your other advisors can come to you with a confident recommendation, about what to do. So when that time comes, you're going to be asked to approve stadium plans in their current form, project budget, and the GMP supplement. And it's worth noting, I'll come back to this in a little bit, stadium plans are based on 50% construction drawings. So it's still evolving a bit, but this is the current state of play, and you'll be asked to approve it in that state. And if all that goes well, then the funding, Tom Cross hates this, the funding release date is achieved. He's like, how can you achieve a date? He's right. But it's the words we have. So the funding release date will be achieved, and off we'll go. And so, you're not going to be left on your own to make that decision. You're going to get input sort of primarily from Heather and her folks who are going to speak to, does the project budget include everything that you're expecting to be in the project budget, not just the stadium itself, but the ancillary infrastructure and all the other stuff that they've committed to do? And does it deliver you the building that the development and funding agreement contemplates? You're going to hear about that. You'll hear from legal folks that say the relevant legal documents, whether it's the construction contracts, or other things, they're consistent with the development and funding agreement. And then you'll hear from your financial consultants that have been with you since sort of the bond deal itself say, we've looked at the team's finances and funding sources, and they have the funding to fund their portion of the budget. So that's the plan for next month. Let's go one more slide. So in a perfect world, we would come to you collectively on September 12th and say, we've got a stadium plan and a budget that crosses every T, dots every I, absolutely perfect. We recommend its approval. That's what we're shooting for. We're trying to get to. It's entirely likely, and I don't think you can chime in here if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think this is an indictment of anybody or their effort. But on a project this size, and because we are at the 50% construction drawing stage, every T may not be crossed and I be dotted. And there may be a handful of things that we identify as these are issues that are unresolved, still need to be resolved by this body and the Titans pursuant to the terms of the development agreement, but we're sufficiently satisfied with the state of play that we will recommend approval to you of the plans with basically a big asterisk that says these things still have to be sorted out. And an example of, and I think we're crossing things off the list. Heather and her folks and the rest of your team are identifying things all the time and then working with the Titans to cross things off the list. And again, we're hoping to cross everything off the list. An example of something that might still be on the list is we're still both working to figure out how to both maximize the availability of Interstate Drive while providing adequate safety and security for the building. So we'll be working on that. And so if there's anything, no T's, no I's, but we still feel good about an overall recommendation, you might see a memorandum of understanding that is a fancy way to say we're asterisking these things. So that's my spiel. I'm happy to answer questions. If any project question, you need to ask her.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you for that update.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where do you feel like you are 30 days? Are you 50% to the everything being somewhat in order, or are you guys scrambling every day and you're not getting any sleep and it's going to be really tight? And the reason I asked too is certainly it's a lot of information for this body to digest, and when we can receive that information, even if it's partially some time to review it, it's helpful. So, you're not only bumping against this date, it's, some notice for the body to have some time to digest the information too in advance of this.
Absolutely. Our goal is to give you as much time before that meeting as possible. I know we usually ask for a week ahead of time. We're going to try to hit that as close as we can. It may be 6 days, it may be 5 days, but we're going to give you as much as we can. There's a lot going on. So to put a percentage to it, I don't think I could. I would say that there is confidence that we are organized and we understand the pieces and parts. It's just those pieces and parts are all continuing to be developed. And there are a lot of folks, as Jeff mentioned, working feverishly day in and day out to ensure that we are ticketing and tying as much as we possibly can. And if you recall, one thing I wanted to mention was I came to you a couple of months ago and said there's about 7 of those items that we're working towards. We're down to 2, I think, right now. Doesn't mean we won't find a third, but I would commend the Titans and their team members. They're being very transparent in this process, and the only way we're getting this done is the way we're doing it, which is every day we're talking and we're working through every detail.
Right. And then would it be appropriate, once we get the documents, to if we have direct questions in advance of the meeting, reach out to you, Heather, or you, Jeff, or what's the protocol for that? Just so we if we have questions as we're reviewing material, just to be prepared.
I defer to your executive director. We'll handle it any way you want. And if you want to have a central clearinghouse, however you think the right way to handle having a central clearinghouse for questions, we'll get them to the relevant subject matter expert and get you an answer.
I think Central might be a good idea, given that all of us would have access to the information. Yeah, so I think that would be helpful.
I think we've done that in the past,
Yeah,
and I do think that it's worked well. So any questions that you have, feel free to send to our office. obviously, if there's further need to address it one-on-one, then I know that Heather would be open to that, and I'm sure legal would be as well. And then, I mean, my thought is the Finance Committee is going to have to recommend approval on this. So I think the September meeting, the Finance Committee will meet, and that will be another opportunity for everyone to hear this and for Heather to make her final recommendations, but to have another setting to really review and talk through it prior to the full board action.
Okay.
Good.
You're good? Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, it's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
At this time, I will entertain any general questions that the board might have regarding our facilities, our partners, any upcoming events, anything you want to know about that we haven't discussed or is not on the agenda. If not, finally, we have the Titans report. We have Adolfo Birch and Shannon Myers, who are going to give us the Titans report and update on Nissan Stadium.
Thank you for having us. I think I'm flying solo today, although I may lean over and ask if I get into trouble. But no, thank you as always for the opportunity to present to the authority today on our activities. Since we are hosting, I thought we'd take the host prerogative to give a little broader report than we otherwise have been doing on a monthly basis, just to kind of highlight some of the other activities and events and initiatives that we have going on. But I will start, I think, with the stadium construction, just to kind of level set as to where we are currently in the project. So you have a narrative report, I think, at tab 6. But I think for this month, we thought it might be helpful to share some visuals that kind of explain and go along with some of the items that are addressed in the report to give you a kind of an eye on what some of those things are. And we'll also, I'll give a few numbers that speak to the overall nature of the project and where we stand. So this, I am going to try to say, is the reflects the drilling of the piers. This is probably slightly earlier view than now. We'll move on to some that show kind of like this is the start of the vertical columns. Those, as you know, all of the piers, well, you may not know, but all of the drill piers are now completed. There's 773 of them to be exact. They are all up and running, or up and running. They're up and established, and we are now, as you can see from this picture, pouring the decks. We have 3 separate crews pouring as we stand. You are looking at, I believe, the main concourse, but I think beginning next week, we will start to pour some of the mezzanine decks. And importantly, from our perspective, among the first pours of that mezzanine deck will be our community room, which, if you recall from previous meetings, one of the central features of the stadium will be a 12,000 square foot space that will be utilized solely for nonprofit, community, and other civic type uses. That is going to be among the first things that we pour in this building, which I think is a testament to everyone's commitment to make this a part of Nashville as a whole and Tennessee as a whole, and really express some of our desires for the project itself. I think also you probably can't tell from this picture, but the underground utilities are starting to go in and be installed as well. So we're well on our way from a number of fronts. This is a sort of overall picture, as you can see, the decks were going, I think, in a clockwise fashion. So you'll see in that, I guess that's the northwest section, where you see a lot of the decks starting to develop, and we're working our way around. You can also see here that there are now 3 cranes on site, which I am told is an exciting thing to have 3. I think in terms of some of the overall numbers, at last count, we are averaging roughly 275 workers on site each day. And so far, combined with the teams, there have been roughly 122,000 total labor hours into the project as it stands. One other thing I think overall that you can't really see from this picture, if you were to see further to the bottom right, you would see that the Titanstown trailer complex is largely completed now, and the remainder of the entities that are moving in are starting that process now. So we're very excited about that as well, and we hope to have a lot more activity and a lot more useful function going on site through that Titanstown trailer complex as well. So building together, and I've phrased this way to really talk about how we wanted this project to encompass and involve and encourage the participation of everyone. And so building together is our way of looking at things like the participation of diverse and small businesses, our workforce development, and other similar items that are designed to get and encourage the broadest possible participation by all. As you know, that was a key component of the project, and one that we are very happy with the results, at least thus far. Looking first at the workforce development program, this is a picture from the ribbon cutting for the Workforce Development Training Center that houses not only our TC2, which is the actual workforce construction development that Turner is sponsoring and TVA is sponsoring, but also the remainder of the items and entities that are involved in the construction project are obviously over there as well. But this was the ribbon cutting from the first day. For some reason, I've been cut out of the picture. I'm not assure you I was there. But no, the important thing I think really in this picture I'd highlight is that to your right is a man named Jason Lovett. He was a participant in one of the early cohorts of the TC2 program, and his story that he provided to us of how he ended up in the program and the benefit that it has had on his life and the lives of those around him. It really is an amazing story. We are going to talk about it a little bit more in various places because it is a phenomenal story of really perseverance and turning yourself around and being able to look at a project like this as something that can really be meaningful and really, change trajectories. It was a phenomenal story that he provided. And as I said, we're going to talk about it a little bit more so everybody can understand it. Because I do think it is exactly what the goal of this, particularly the workforce development program is all about. Let's see. I'll also, I think, here talk a little bit about the DBE participation as well. I wanted to have a picture of one of our outreach events as just a visual, but know that in broad strokes, we are fully confident that the project will meet and in fact exceed our participation goals. We are still trying to get in some of the information from the recommendations of awards and bid packages. Once we have that, we will share all of those projections. But from what we can see thus far, we are on pace to exceed the goals that have been established. You do have, I believe, in the materials a sort of a breakdown of what's already billed and payable, and that I'll just highlight to say that so far we've had 25 DBEs participate in the project at a contract amount of, I guess, in excess of 4.8 million, and that would have been through May. So obviously, as the packages come online, we'll have a lot more detailed information to share with you in later meetings. But that is certainly a good start, and as I said, we are quite well on pace to exceed the goals overall. I probably should also mention, I think it is important to acknowledge the helpfulness that BAO, the Business Assistance Office, has had in helping us through this process. They have been critical in helping to identify particular firms, to identify capacity, and a number of other things that have assisted the parties in being able to maximize the amount of participation that we have. So I think it's important because they have been very, very helpful and engaged in the process with us. Okay, so turning to some of the other.
Excuse me.
Oh,
Before
I'm sorry.
We've
Yes.
got a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Pausing at that point.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, Adolfo. Just a quick question on that. As you're well aware, the DBE participation is very important to this group, and would like to have a bit more information about that. Can you remind me, is the goal 30% of overall stadium spend is DBE?
No, the goal is 25%.
25.
And as I said, we are certainly tracking toward exceeding that as it stands.
Okay, and roughly right now it's 3% of what has been spent to date. I see this little summary down here. I guess respectfully, I would like to ask if next month you guys could give us a bit more of a comprehensive breakdown, not only of the firms that have already had the opportunity to participate, but the firms that are online to get a piece of this business. We would be very interested in learning more about that.
Sure, and I will commit that we should be in a position to be able to do that next month. A lot of that information, as I said, is still coming in. As it comes in and is finalized, we will be the first to tell you about it.
Great. Thank you.
We have another question. Yes.
Thank you. Great report so far. Can you give us a little clarity and help me understand the difference in what I'm looking at with the 13 certified DBEs versus the 25 listed here in this chart?
Well, no, I think you're looking at two different pieces combined. Mm-hmm. So they combined, it's 25. I think the report says 26, but it's 25 total. If you see between the different award sources. Here, let me go to it. I can probably explain it a little better.
That's exactly why I asked.
Let's see. That should be. Yeah. So if you see there's a TBA piece that has 13, and then there's the architect of record TBS piece, which has 12. So combined, it's 25 overall. But if you look at MBE and WBE and SBE combined, that's what we're talking about.
Thank you.
And I have one question. So Director Hogan touched on it. So at this stage, I'm sure I have it. What is the amount of money that has been paid and verified during this cycle overall versus this 4.8 million to the DBEs?
Through May, do we
Okay.
have, if I can,
Is it on the front?
if I can look around, I think to date on the project is probably the total toward the end. Yeah. Where is that on here? Oh, yes. Yeah. So that if you look at the first page of the report on the left-hand side, that's the run of the total project spent to date.
Okay, so along the same lines, I guess you feel comfortable that we're on target, given that we're running at about 3% at this point?
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we have another question.
To follow up on Director Hogan's statement, if we create a way where we can see the funnel, meaning how we are seeing numbers come in, I think that will be helpful. So if we know 100 people are in the portal or submitted applications to 200 people, et cetera, then we'll at least know that we're working those, if we can do that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've been referring to. Once we start to be in a position where we can actually report on awarded contract amounts, and not be positioning strictly based on what's been paid. And that's once we get to that point, which we should have by next month, we'll be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
So I did, since we're trying to be a little broader this month, I want to talk a little bit about some of our other actions that are going on the one community end. We've been doing several things. The first of which, as shown here, was our Stuff the Bus partnership with the United Way. I think we had more than 100 volunteers, and I think we packed 15,000 plus backpacks for that. Again, I do not see myself in the picture, but I assure you I was there. I'm starting to sense a trend. But, exactly. Moving on, this was a photo from an event held at Luby Center by our running back, Tajay Spears, which was a really a fun event. This one I was not at, so that is fair. Here is a picture of an inaugural high school media day that we put together. We had players, coaches, local media come to interview and take pictures of players so they'd have their coverage ready and start for the start of the season. I think the numbers there were 200 players and coaches together from 55 different Middle Tennessee school area schools. Looking at our events in our stadium, which we do still have events in our stadium. So we have had a lot of activity, not the least of which was our concert season. This is a picture of CMA Fest, and I believe that is Lainey Wilson. I'm stretching a little bit, but I think that's her. But I think overall we hosted 12 major events. We've had 600,000 plus visitors. That included CMA Fest, Morgan Wallen for 3 nights, Zach Bryan, Def Leppard, Monster Jam, Supercross, all not including the 170 community events that we've had, which would have been things like Rotary lunches, small groups, and other similar events. We also had an open practice where we invited fans to come and watch the team for free. Watch practice. We had 10,000 plus that came for that. That was a great opportunity for folks, particularly folks in the area, to be able to be a part of and see the team in a way that is not always possible. So we were pretty proud of that. Last but not least, we also hosted 150,000 of our friends known as the Purple Martins. I think everybody knows the the tale of the Purple Martins, but I guess this year they decided to come join us in Lot H. Frankly, we were thankful to Warner and Metro Parks for helping us with this whole event. So I think they actually, from what I understand, they had watch parties and helped with messaging to talk about how big and important a nature event this was. Their migration plans, the whole works. But I think it's fair to say that we happy to have them, and we enjoy hosting them as much as any other fan that attends our stadium for any activities. We also have a team. So I think for this team, we are really excited about 2024. You have a picture here with our new head coach, Brian Callahan, who, if you don't know, comes to us from Cincinnati, where he was offensive coordinator for the Bengals. I can tell you that the building for the offseason is a level of energy, a level of excitement surrounding the team. We have new players, we have new staff, and all of that is bringing us a degree of hope and a degree of expectation that frankly might not have been there at the start of the offseason. So we're really excited about where we think this can lead, where this guy can take us. And I've been advised that it would have been inappropriate to bring a bottle of the Will Levis number 8 cologne, which just surfaced, but I am also told that you can, it is available for purchase online. If you so choose, but no, we're really excited about this season, and we hope that everybody is as well. In that respect, however, we are also wanting to make sure that we get the word out about the transportation plans. Obviously, with the stadium construction going on, we needed to do a fair amount of thinking about that stadium transportation plan. I believe I've sent everybody on the authority a sort of more detailed summary about some of the aspects of the plan, but we are really very encouraged by the early returns on how it's gone, and we believe that we can really be able to refine it and make it a plan that provides the least amount of disruption to the fewest number of people. So we feel great about it. But certainly we'll continue to watch it evolve. And if you, as authority members or others, get questions about it or suggestions, we're happy to take all of those and think about them.
Dolpha, we have a question.
I do have a question on that front. Came out to the preseason game last weekend. It was great, lots of fun, and a lot of good energy in the stadium. So when we were leaving, though, you could not get back on 24 from the south entrance. Will that remain? I know we're trying different components of best practices with limited parking and people ingress and egress. Will that continue throughout the season, or was that just a Saturday night event? Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that offhand, but I'm happy to take a look at it and follow up.
We have
Haley knows.
We have a transportation stadium plan expert, Haley Davidson, joining us.
Hi. The answer, Kim, Haley Davidson with the Titans. The answer is MMPD sets that they have traffic going a certain direction there, and that will stay. They are working with NDOT's new traffic management center to kind of route traffic, but I think that will remain.
Stay throughout the season.
It will stay throughout the season, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I was asked that and then experienced it, so curious. So thank you.
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir.
That happens to be a part of this project that I was able to be involved in myself. I live in Goodlettsville. I'm trying to get to the stadium so I can get in my seats and see this game. And we parked downtown near the big tall building down there, the tallest building in Nashville. And we got on the bus, and then the bus was having much difficulty getting to the stadium because people were walking in the street. The policemen were not really directing the traffic to go one way or the other. Even on 2nd Avenue, there was people riding up 2nd Avenue, which is supposed to be one way going that way. It was kind of, it needed a little work. But
I'll mark you as undecided.
But Counselor, I do have one other question that people ask me because I used to live in the Bordeaux area, and I still find myself in the Bordeaux area quite often, and they wanted to know, was there a place or a position that we put the dirt, the extra dirt that we had out here that was on TV a couple of days and stuff, and people thought it was going to be brought back to Bordeaux and put in to the dump that is supposed to be closed. Was there any ending or place that has been decided for that dirt?
Yeah, I think it was unfortunate, that situation, because I think there was a fair amount of miscommunication that preceded it. But the short answer is that the dirt is being deposited elsewhere. So that situation has been resolved. I do think over time, though, there is going to be a need for the dirt to go on that site to help repair it. But that, I think Metro determined that they would save for another day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, transportation, before we move forward? Okay, let's get through the transportation piece and then we'll come back. Okay.
Yeah, well, just one last little point. I just wanted to mention that, the Titans Express train is running as a functioning part of the transportation plan, which seems to have been fairly successful. And then we are also working with WeGo. WeGo has piloted, I think I mentioned at our last report, they piloted a number of potential routes to help provide and increase stadium access. And we are hopeful that will result in some, permanent features once we get into the regular season. So we're thankful for both of those efforts, but I thought it was important to mention them as well, since those are collaborative. That's it.
Great report, great report. Lots of things going on. We do have a question before you all leave us. Okay.
Adolfo, going back to the very beginning of your report, I think you said 120,000 man hours have already been spent on the site. Can you give us an update on the safety? Or have there been any injuries, anything like that, any incidents that we need to be aware of?
I'm glad you asked that, because I know that last time we had committed to adding safety data, and I think we were trying to, and we didn't. But there's been one incident that I think it was if you remember the details of it. But.
Yes, it was during rebar installation. One worker had stitches from a cut after a fall, and was treated and then was able to return to work quickly.
That's the full impact of that's the sort of full incident to date that we've had. So, I do know we did agree to, and we will make sure that we get that information as part of the actual reports going forward.
Right. Thank you. We have a comment, Director?
Well, I just wanted to confirm that Adolfo was indeed at the event. I saw the picture on LinkedIn. So there you go. No, great report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Ma.
So this is more game day safety, not construction safety, and I mentioned it today and this morning. But last week, Brandon and I had a chance to attend the Titans Tabletop, which is an annual. This is an impressive event focused on game day safety and looking at a scenario, and some of the scary what ifs, and everyone on the Metro public safety agencies and FBI, the Titans Stadium. And it's, I just want to commend you all for the job that you do and the focus and priority. We all know, all of us who attend events, who run facilities know that public safety is always the most important thing. And it was very reassuring to know that the Titans are so committed to this and are practicing and preparing for what we hope never happens. But I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can I add on to that? Part of that discussion that I had with Monica this morning was really in light of what happened in Vienna that we're all aware of. I would be very interested personally, and I think a number of us up here would be very interested to know what you are available to tell us. I recognize that these are guarded plans for a good reason, but it is in our interest to know what the security plans look like with these contingencies. I've asked Josh if that could be a closed door session, and I'm not making this request specifically just to the Titans. For really all of our facilities, it would be beneficial for us to have an overview of what has been prepared for and what plans are in place. So I've asked Josh and Monica to help me think through what that looks like, and I would ask for your cooperation on that as well. But maybe next month we will have a more fleshed out request to make regarding security and briefing the
Sure, I'm sure there's some way we can accommodate to get your concerns met on that.
Great, thank you.
Right. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you all for your report. Thank you for a broader vision today. Thank you, Shannon, for reporting earlier today. This concludes our agenda for the day, and so we want to say thank you to the Titans and Nissan Stadium for hosting us this morning. We appreciate it. Our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, September 12th, back here at Nissan Stadium. It's a very important meeting, as you've heard this morning, so we need as many of our directors as possible here. Unfortunately, I will be traveling, so I will not be at that meeting. But my trusted Vice Chair Duncan will carry out in my absence, so I'm sure the meeting will go fine. And I just want to mention to the directors that this is an off-schedule meeting, so please, please, please check your calendars and confirm your availability. We want to ensure that we have a quorum that day, and let Monica and her team know.
Well, and I was going to say, you should have received a calendar invite, and if for some reason you didn't, let us know, and if for some reason you have a schedule change and can't be here, just let us know as soon as possible, because this is a big one.
I think the other meeting is still showing up on my schedule, so just so you know, that might cause confusion. I don't know if we can recall the other, but I'm going to decline.
So we want to keep it.
We want to
Okay.
keep them.
But the hope and expectation is we will only need to meet on the 12th.
So hold the 19th as a
Just hold the
possibility.
19th.
Don't delete it yet.
Don't
Keep
delete it. Don't delete it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Consider yourselves adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.